The velocity of money, inflation's hidden mechanism, and its human cost. Introduction. Inflation touches every aspect of daily life, from rising grocery bills to skyrocketing housing prices. Yet few understand why inflation persists or how it's tied to the economy's design. The quantity theory of money, MV equals PQ, offers a lens to decode this mystery, linking money supply, M, velocity, V, price levels, P, and economic output, Q. This framework reveals that inflation is not accidental. It's a structural necessity. The system requires constant money supply growth to sustain itself, and this dynamic has profound implications for everyday life. From falling standards of living to the widening wealth gap, inflation's costs are borne disproportionately by ordinary people. Understanding this mechanism is crucial to recognizing its societal impacts and exploring alternatives. 2. The quantity theory of money and inflation. The equation MV equals PQ expresses how money circulates in an economy. M, the total money supply. V, the velocity of money, or how often each dollar is used in transactions. P, the price level, reflecting inflation. Q, real output, representing the goods and services produced. Inflation occurs when the money supply grows faster than real output, M greater than Q, driving up price levels, P. The velocity of money, V, plays a critical role in amplifying or muting these effects. It determines how efficiently money circulates, influencing whether economic activity thrives or stalls. The implications of V greater than 1 and V less than 1. V greater than 1, money in motion. When the velocity of money exceeds 1, it suggests a productive economy where money supply fuels substantial GDP growth. Each dollar circulates multiple times in a given period, amplifying economic activity. For instance, a V equals 2 means that every dollar contributes twice its value to nominal GDP. A high V reflects a dynamic, thriving economy where spending and investment are robust. However, this also increases inflationary pressures because money circulates faster than the economy's capacity to produce goods. Q. Example. In a booming economy, consumer confidence drives rapid spending, accelerating money flow and creating upward pressure on prices. V less than 1 stalled circulation. When the velocity of money falls below 1, it implies that money supply is outpacing its utility in generating GDP. In other words, each dollar contributes less than its nominal value to economic activity, signaling inefficiencies or stagnation. Low V is often associated with economic downturns or uncertainty, where money sits idle in savings or fails to stimulate significant economic growth. This scenario forces governments and central banks to increase M, money supply, to prevent deflation or stagnation. Example, during a recession, households save rather than spend, causing a decline in velocity and requiring monetary stimulus to sustain economic activity. Why the system requires money supply growth. The structure of the modern economy relies on continuous growth in M to sustain itself. This dependency stems from several factors. 1. Debt-driven economies. Modern economies are fueled by debt, which depends on inflation to devalue outstanding loans over time. Without inflation, debt becomes harder to repay, leading to stagnation or defaults. Governments and central banks expand the money supply to fund public spending and manage national debt. 2. Compensating for velocity fluctuations. When V declines, central banks must increase M to maintain economic stability and prevent deflation. This creates a cycle where money supply growth becomes necessary to offset sluggish circulation. 3. Avoiding deflation. Deflation discourages spending and investment, stalling economic growth. To counteract this, central banks aim to maintain a positive inflation rate, typically around 2%. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. 5. Everyday implications of constant inflation. 1. Falling standards of living. Inflation erodes purchasing power, particularly for those whose wages fail to keep pace with rising prices. Essential goods and services become increasingly expensive, disproportionately affecting low and middle-income households. 2. Financial repression for savers. Low interest rates combined with inflation penalize savers, reducing the real value of their money over time. While borrowers benefit from inflation, savers effectively lose wealth by keeping money in traditional accounts. 3. Asset price inflation. New money often enters the economy through financial markets, inflating the prices of assets like stocks and real estate. This benefits those who own assets, widening the gap between the wealthy and those without investments. 4. The wealth gap and economic bifurcation. Asset inflation exacerbates inequality, allowing the rich to accumulate more wealth while the working class faces stagnant wages and rising costs. This bifurcation leads to a divided economy where opportunity is increasingly tied to wealth. 6. Broader economic implications. 1. Financial repression as policy. Governments rely on inflation to reduce the real burden of national debt, often at the expense of savers and wage earners. This implicit policy prioritizes fiscal stability over individual wealth preservation. 2. Moral hazard in monetary policy. Loose monetary policies disproportionately benefit corporations and financial elites, creating dependency on perpetual money creation and encouraging risky behaviors. 3. Systemic fragility. Over-reliance on money supply growth creates vulnerabilities such as asset bubbles and economic crises. These systemic risks often harm ordinary citizens the most during downturns. Publicly available statistics on the velocity of money over the past few decades reveal significant trends. The Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis provides comprehensive data on the velocity of M1 and M2 money stock. Velocity of M1 money stock, M1V. M1 includes the most liquid forms of money, such as cash and checking deposits. The velocity of M1 has experienced notable fluctuations. 1959 to 2007, the velocity of M1 generally increased, indicating that each dollar was used more frequently in transactions. 2008 financial crisis, there was a sharp decline in M1 velocity, reflecting reduced spending and increased saving. Post-2008, the velocity continued to decrease, reaching historically low levels in recent years. Velocity of M2 money stock, M2V. M2 encompasses M1 plus savings deposits, small time deposits, and retail money market funds. The velocity of M2 has shown a steady decline. 1997 peak. M2 velocity peaked around 2.2. Subsequent decline. Since then, it has steadily decreased, reaching approximately 1.389 in Q3 2024. Implications. The declining velocity of money suggests that increases in the money supply have not proportionally translated into higher economic activity. This trend may indicate a preference for saving over spending, reduced consumer confidence, or structural changes in the economy affecting how money circulates. For detailed and up-to-date data, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis's FRED database is a valuable resource. 7. Conclusion. Inflation's human cost. Inflation is not a byproduct of economic mismanagement. It is an inherent feature of the system, driven by the interaction of money supply and velocity. While it enables debt-driven growth, it also carries profound costs for everyday people, eroding purchasing power, penalizing savers, and widening the wealth gap. By understanding these mechanisms, we can better appreciate the hidden costs of inflation and advocate for policies that prioritize economic stability and fairness.